Talay was not like other aliens. She was small, with smooth silver skin and big glowing eyes that changed color with her feelings. Her home planet, Elena, was peaceful. Her people believed in kindness, stories, and stars. But they were also very careful. They feared what they didn't understand. And at the top of their list of dangers were humans. Talay had never seen a human before, but she had heard the stories. Horrible creatures, an old merchant once whispered. Human males. Eat their females. Yes, eat them like meat. Talay had gasped in fear. That can't be true. Oh, it is, the merchant hissed. That's why you must never trust one, especially not the males, if you ever meet one. She never forgot those words. Now, floating in a trade ship among other aliens, Talay sat in a corner, listening. Two insectoid traders were laughing loudly. I heard human males grab their mates in dark rooms and devour them slowly. One joked, I heard they enjoy the screaming. The other added, Talay's hands shook. She pulled her hood over her face and tried to stay small. She was on her first solo trip delivering rare crystal dust to a distant colony. She had no idea this journey would become her worst nightmare. Suddenly, the ship began to shake. Lights flashed red. A loud alarm screamed, warning, system failure, crash detected. Talay screamed as the ship spun out of control. She saw stars spinning outside the window, then darkness. When she woke up, Talay was lying on soft green moss. Her escape pod had ejected during the crash and landed safely, but the ship was gone. The others may be gone too. She looked around. Tall trees. A forest, quiet air. No sign of any cities or help. She tapped her wrist device. Signal weak, no connection. Her heart dropped. She was alone. Then she heard something. A sound. Crunching leaves. Footsteps. Her eyes widened. She ducked behind a rock, holding her breath. A figure stepped through the trees. Tall, broad, wearing strange clothes, hair on his head and face, eyes like the ocean, hands rough, holding a metal stick that looked like a weapon. It was a human male. Talay gasped and stumbled backward. No, no, no. Not you, please no. She whispered. The man stopped and raised his hand slowly. Hey, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. She couldn't understand his words, but his voice was calm. Talay shook her head. Her eyes filled with tears. Don't eat me, she said. Please, I'll do anything. The man looked confused. Eat you, what? She backed away, trembling. I know what you are. I heard the stories, human males. You eat your mates. You'll eat me. He blinked, then laughed. What? No, who told you that? But she didn't laugh. She was shaking. She looked like she believed every word. The human stepped forward. Listen, you're clearly scared. But I swear I'm not gonna hurt you. You need help, don't you? Talay hesitated. She was cold, hungry, lost. But still, this was a human. And humans were monsters, weren't they? He opened his backpack and pulled out something round and yellow. A fruit, he said, offering it. She didn't move. He took a bite himself, then offered the rest. See? Not poison, not a trap. Talay slowly reached out and took it. Her fingers were shaking. She sniffed it, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened, sweet, juicy. Her stomach growled loudly. She hadn't eaten since the crash. The man smiled. Better? She looked at him. He hadn't attacked. He hadn't eaten her. Maybe, just maybe, the stories were wrong. He pointed to himself. John. She blinked. On? He nodded. John, that's my name. She touched her chest. Talay. Nice to meet you, Talay, he said kindly. A cold wind blew. She shivered. John looked at the sky. A storm's coming. You need shelter. He pointed to a small cave nearby and started walking toward it. Then he looked back, waiting. Talai hesitated. Every step felt dangerous, but her feet slowly moved forward. Inside, the cave was dry and warm. John built a small fire with some tools. The light danced on the walls. Talai sat in a corner, watching him like a scared animal. Her eyes didn't leave him. He offered her more food. She accepted silently. But she didn't sleep. John lay down with his back turned to her, giving her space. He didn't touch her. Didn't even look at her. Still, she whispered into the dark. "Don't eat me, please." The fire cracked softly. A warm glow filled the cave. Outside, the wind howled like a beast searching for prey. Talai hadn't slept. Not even for a second. She sat with her knees to her chest, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, watching the human's every move. He slept just a few feet away, breathing slowly, chest rising and falling like a peaceful giant. But monsters look peaceful before they strike. At least that's what she had been told. Suddenly, his arm twitched. Talai flinched. Her breath caught in her throat. What if he woke up hungry? Her mind raced. She whispered to herself in her native tongue, "I don't want to be food. Not today." She stood up slowly. Her body ached, but her survival instinct was louder than her fear. She moved to the edge of the cave, eyes scanning the dark forest outside. "Where are you going?" A calm voice said behind her. She froze. John was awake, sitting up, staring at her. Talai turned around slowly, her face pale. Her hands trembled. She lowered her head and dropped to her knees. "I know what this is," she said, voice shaking. "You saved me, but only to eat me later. You want me soft, scared. That's how predators feed." John blinked, confused and half asleep. "What? Eat you? Again with that?" "I'll do anything," she said quickly. "Please, don't. Eat me. I'll clean your cave. I'll serve you. I'll be your pet if you want. Just let me live." Her voice cracked. "I don't want to die like that." John stared at her in shock. "Talai, no. That's not what's happening here." She looked up, tears in her bright eyes. "But the stories, they said human males eat their females, slowly, for fun." John rubbed his forehead. "What the hell are they teaching you out there?" He stood up and grabbed a blanket. Talai backed away like he was coming to snatch her. Instead, he knelt and gently placed the blanket over her shoulders. "I'm not going to eat you," he said softly. "Not today. Not ever." Talai looked at him like he had spoken a forbidden spell. "Then why did you bring me here? Why are you helping me?" "Because you looked cold, scared, and alone," he said. "And I don't leave people like that. But you're a male." "Yes," he chuckled, "but not that kind of male." "Where did you hear this eating thing anyway?" She wiped her eyes. "The traders, the merchants, even the elders. They said human males devour their mates." John sighed. "Well, they're not totally wrong. But not in the way you think." She frowned. "What do you mean?" John's face turned red. He stood up fast and started poking the fire. "Nothing." "Never mind," he muttered. Talai tilted her head, confused. "You're hiding something. It's complicated," he said. She stood slowly, still wrapped in the blanket. "Tell me." He glanced at her, nervous. "Let's just say humans, especially males, use that word for something very different. Something private, between lovers." Talai blinked. "Like a ritual?" "Something like that," he replied, clearly embarrassed. "But no one gets eaten. At least not like what you're thinking." She looked down at herself, then at him. "So, I'm not food?" He smiled. "No, you're a person." That word hit her hard. No one ever called her that. Not the traders. Not the soldiers. Not even the people who took her off her homeworld. Talai sat down beside him, quiet, confused. "You're not scared anymore?" he asked. "I'm still scared," she whispered. "But I don't think you're a monster anymore." They sat in silence for a while. The wind howled outside, but the cave was calm. Then Tally asked softly if I had met a different human. Would they have eaten me? John didn't answer at first. Then he looked at her serious. There are bad humans just like bad aliens, but most of us, we protect, not hurt. She nodded slowly. You're different, she said. And so? Are you? He replied. Asterisk. Asterisk Tally had never seen a man remove his outer layer. So when John pulled off his shirt the next morning, his muscles showing, scars across his chest, she screamed loud high pitch and it echoed across the trees. A-H! He's preparing the meat. She yelled, diving behind a rock and covering herself with a blanket like a shield. John dropped the shirt mid-stretch. What? No, I'm just hot. Tally peeked through the edge of the blanket, shaking. You're boiling me with your eyes first, aren't you? He blinked. What does that even mean? You took off your outer skin, she said in a whisper. That's how the stories start. First the human males get warm. Then they grab the female, then. John raised both hands like he was under arrest. Okay. Time out. We need to talk. Tally peeked further, but kept her distance. Talk about how you'll season me. No, talk about how very wrong those stories are. He sat down, crossed-legged, trying to look as small and harmless as possible. He picked up a small stick and began to draw in the dirt. Tally watched suspiciously. Let's make this simple, John said, drawing 2 circles. This is a human. He drew another. This is another human. When they like each other a lot, they spend time together. They eat food, not each other. But the word eat, she said. John sighed. Yes, it can mean something else, in certain situations, between people who are close, like mating. Tally's face turned purple, a color of confusion and curiosity in her species. So it's a private thing? Exactly. A special kind of touching, intimate, gentle, no chewing involved, I swear. She tilted her head. Why would anyone call that eating? That sounds confusing. You have no idea, John muttered under his breath. She slowly walked out from behind the rock and sat near him, but still with a clear distance. Her glowing eyes stared into his. Have you ever eaten someone? John choked on air. What? I mean the private kind, she said innocently. He looked away, rubbing the back of his neck. That's not really a conversation I expected to have with an alien I just met. She looked down. I'm just trying to understand. He glanced at her, then nodded slowly. Okay, yes, once. A long time ago. But only when both sides agree, always with trust. Tally's eyes glowed a soft blue. So, it's not about violence? No, he said firmly. It's about care. She was quiet for a long time, then softly whispered, Your kind is strange, but not evil, he smiled. Same goes for yours. Suddenly, the sky darkened. A deep rumble rolled through the clouds. Tally stood. Storm? John nodded. Looks like a bad one. We should gather wood and seal the cave. Together, they worked her. Small hands gathering sticks, his larger ones building the fire and blocking wind from the cave entrance. For the first time, they moved as a team. As the storm hit, they sat together near the fire. Outside, lightning flashed and thunder roared. But inside, it was warm. Tally held a heated rock in her lap, staring at the flames. I still don't understand everything, she said softly. But I want to learn. John looked at her and said, Then I'll teach you. She glanced sideways at him. Everything? He laughed nervously. Let's start with language first. Asterisk, the scream didn't sound like hers, but it was. Tally had never screamed like that before, not on her home planet, not during the crash, not even when she thought the human would eat her. But now, as the cold jaws of the trap snapped around her ankle and pulled her into the pit, she screamed like a creature who knew death was near. She landed hard at the bottom of the hole, pain shooting through her leg. Her voice echoed in the Woleo trees above. Then silence. Only her trembling breath. No footsteps. No John. She was alone. Had started with a simple walk. John had gone to search for dry wood after the storm. Taylor, curious and still trying to prove her independence, had followed behind quietly without telling him. "I'm not a scared child," she had whispered to herself. "I can walk alone." But the forest was not like Alina. It was alive. And it was watching. The ground under her had looked soft but hid a trap. A hunter's hole with sharpened edges. Something not made by nature, now stuck inside, her ankle bleeding. She tried to climb, but every time she touched the wall, loose dirt fell into her face. She called out. "John!" Nothing. She called again louder. "John, help me!" Still. Nothing. Then she heard it. A growl. Low. Guttural. Hungry. Her glowing eyes scanned the shadows above. Something big moved through the trees. Fast. Silent. Its breath rasped in the dark. She held her breath. The scent of blood was in the air. Hers. John had just returned to the cave when he noticed something was wrong. "Talai?" He called. No answer. His heart dropped. He searched the forest, eyes sharp. Then he saw small footprints. Hers, leading away from the cave. Damn it, Talle. He grabbed his rifle and ran. Talle was pressing her back against the wall of the pit, holding a rock in one hand. It was small, useless, but it was all she had. The creature above let out another growl. A long black shape low to the ground, glowing green eyes, fangs as long as her fingers slithered to the edge and sniffed. Her blood had called it. She gripped the rock tighter, knowing it would never be enough. Then suddenly a flash. A loud crack. A blue bolt of light hit the beast and sent it flying. Talai gasped. John appeared above the pit, rifle in hand, his eyes blazing. "There you are!" He reached down with a rope. "Grab it!" She reached up with her shaking hands, pain shooting through her leg as she climbed. He pulled her up, groaning with effort. Finally, she collapsed into his arms. She was crying. You came," she whispered. "Of course I came," he said, wrapping a cloth around her ankle. "Don't ever run off like that again. I thought maybe I wasn't yours to protect," she whispered. John looked her in the eyes. "Talai, you're not mine, but I still care. That's what humans do." She smiled weakly. "Even when we act foolish?" "Especially then," he said. They returned to the cave under the moonlight. Tylee leaned on John as he carried most of her weight. Back in the cave, he gave her water, wrapped her leg, and sat beside her, watching the fire. She looked at him. "John? Yeah? Do humans always protect the ones they care about?" He nodded. "The good ones do." She paused, then said softly, "Then you're a very good human." He chuckled. "Thanks. But let's keep you out of pits from now on, yeah?" She laughed. Through the pain. Deal. Tylee had never been touched like that before. Not hurt, not grabbed, but gently, carefully, like she was something that could break with the wrong pressure. She stared at the bandage on her leg, freshly wrapped by John. His hands were strong, but his touch had been soft. Each time his skin brushed hers, it was like heat passed through her body, but not from fear. Something else, something she didn't understand. John stirred the fire, glancing at her. "You're quiet tonight." Talai nodded slowly. "My body is warm, but it's not from the fire," he chuckled. "Probably the fever. That leg needs rest." But she didn't look sick. She looked curious, bright-eyed. "John," she asked, "do humans always use their hands with so much care?" He paused. "Only when they're trying to show they care." Talai tilted her head. "That's what I want to understand. What does care really mean to humans? What does love feel like?" John looked away. "That's not an easy thing to explain." She leaned forward, eyes glowing blue. "Then show me," he blinked. "What?" "Show me what it means to care, human style." John scratched the back of his neck. "Well, all right. Let's start small. He reached out his hand, slow and open, like offering peace. Talai looked at it for a moment, then carefully placed her hand in his. It fit perfectly. This is called holding hands, he said. We do it to feel close. To say, you're not alone. Talai gasped softly. It's warm. Yeah, he smiled. That's the point. She held it tighter. What else? She whispered. He hesitated, then moved to sit beside her. We also hug, not always. Just when the feeling is too big for words. Too big? She asked. He opened his arms. You'll see. Slowly she stepped into them. At first, stiff, unsure, but then she melted into his chest, eyes closing, heart beating faster than it ever had. It's like, I'm safe here, she whispered. John didn't move. That's how you're supposed to feel. For a long time they said nothing. The fire crackled. Outside, the forest slept. Then Tylee whispered something strange. Maybe I don't care. If humans eat their mates. John blinked, pulling back slightly. What? She smiled shyly. Because if this is what it means, I wouldn't mind being eaten. He laughed nervously. Okay, we really need to fix that translation. But she was serious. She looked into his eyes. I used to be afraid of your mouth. Now I want to know how it feels. John's heart skipped. You sure? She nodded. Show me. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to back away. She didn't. Their foreheads touched. Her breathing hitched. And then, just a soft kiss. Quick, light, but real. Talai blinked. Oh, that's not what I expected. John smiled. Disappointed? She touched her lips. No, just surprised. It wasn't scary at all. He grinned. Told you, no teeth involved. She looked down shyly. Maybe next time you can show me more? John raised an eyebrow. Next time? She nodded slowly. Yes, when I understand better. When I'm ready. And with that, she rested her head on his shoulder. He wrapped his arm around her gently. That night, Talai didn't tremble from fear. She trembled from something much stranger. And warmer. Asterisk. Talai didn't dream that night, but when she woke, her cheek was pressed softly against something warm. Not her blanket. John. Her head rested on his chest. His heartbeat was steady, deep like distant thunder across calm water. Her hand was on his stomach. His arm was wrapped around her protectively. She blinked. Her mind said move away, but her heart whispered stay. For once, she listened to her heart. John opened his eyes a few seconds later. Talai froze. Sorry, she whispered, starting to move, but he gently squeezed her shoulder. It's okay. I don't mind. She relaxed, letting her body settle back against him. This is the first time I've woken up next to someone. And not felt afraid, she said. John looked down at her. You were afraid even while sleeping? She nodded. On my world, even dreams aren't safe. He didn't say anything. He just rubbed her back softly. She let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. John, humans are strange. You're strong, but you're not hurting me. You're close, but not forcing anything. You could take whatever you want, but instead you wait. Why? He looked into her glowing eyes. Because real connection only happens when both people choose it. Talai thought about that. Slowly she touched his hand. Then this touch between us is real? Yes, he said softly. This is real. Later that day, she asked to learn something new. Teach me another way humans show closeness. He smiled. All right. This one's called a forehead kiss. He leaned down and placed the gentlest kiss on her forehead. Her eyes closed. Her whole body felt still. That felt like home, she whispered. Yeah, he replied. That's what it's supposed to feel like. They spent the afternoon sitting near the river. I dipped her feet in the water and laughed, as tiny fish tickled her toes. Back home, I was never allowed to laugh this loud, she said. Why not? Because girls like me are only raised for service, quiet, obedient, invisible. John looked at her. Not here. Here, you're just you. She looked at him, glowing softly. Then I want to be here. Their hands touched again, fingers naturally locking dot as the sun began to set. Tylee stared at the sky, her head resting on his shoulder. Then she said something that surprised even herself. I want you to show me what eating really meant in your people's stories. The soft kind, the gentle kind. I want to know why it was called that. John turned to her, stunned. Tylee. Not now, she added quickly. But when the time is right, when I understand everything. I want it to be you. He nodded slowly, voice low. It will be. And in that moment, under the orange sky of a foreign world, two lives, two hearts from different species, were no longer strangers. Tylee didn't run this time. Not when the rescue ship arrived. Not when the alien commander shouted her name through the trees. Not when they offered her a blanket, a meal, and a way off the planet. She just stood there, watching, silent because now, for the first time in her life, she had a choice. John stood behind her, arms crossed, watching the soldiers with cautious eyes. One of them, an older female with medals on her armor, looked at Tylee sharply. You survived? With him? Tylee nodded. You let a human male touch you. Tylee looked at John and then she stepped closer to him. She touched his hand in front of everyone. Yes, she said calmly. And I'm still alive, stronger even. The commander narrowed her eyes. They say human males eat their females. Tylee's voice didn't shake. That's what I believed too, until I met one. That night, Tylee sat beside John, staring at the fire one last time. I could leave, she whispered. Veil. Take me home. Say I was just confused. That it was fear that made me stay with you. John didn't respond. But they'd be wrong, she said. Because I'm not afraid anymore, she turned to him. John, I understand now. He looked at her gently. Understand what? That eating isn't about pain. It's about desire, closeness. It's about trust. And you showed me all of it, without asking for anything back. Her hand reached up to touch his face. But now I'm offering something. He leaned forward slightly. What are you offering? Tylee smiled. Me. Their kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't heated or clumsy. It was soft, slow, like falling into warm water after a long cold walk. Her fingers traced his chest. His hands rested against her waist. No fear. No doubt. Only breathless understanding between two souls who had crossed the vast emptiness of space and fear and found each other. Later, she lay beside him, tucked safely under his arm. So, she whispered in the dark, will you finally admit it? Admit what? She looked up at him, eyes glowing playfully, that human males do eat their females. He laughed. Only when they fall in love with them first.